Hello. How's everybody doing today? So I'm here to talk about a really interesting subject. Weed, pot, ganja, marijuana, cannabis. Just by a show of hands, who's smoked weed in this room? All right, that's good. I like that. Well, I can't say that I'm a cannabis enthusiast personally, although before I joined the industry, I used it many times. But I am an opportunist, and that's why I'm here today. I'm here to talk to all of you about a really great opportunity, a very special opportunity. So my name is Eddie Miller, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I founded multiple successful digital marketplaces, the most popular of which is called NewYear'sEve.com. So NewYear'sEve.com was a place to find and purchase tickets to thousands of New Year's Eve events across the world. 4 years ago, I saw a tremendous opportunity in building the world's largest cannabis marketplace. And greenRush.com is just that. We are the Amazon of cannabis, the easiest way to buy weed. And I want to tell you today about the legal cannabis industry, which has become highly illegal over the past 6 decades across the world in all the different countries that we live in. It's a Schedule I narcotic in the USA, equivalent to heroin. Who here thinks that cannabis is as bad as heroin? Not a single hand. We've seen this story play out once before with alcohol, specifically in the US. Prohibition in the USA in the 1920s and 1930s, it didn't really work out too well. It even created, this is a picture of alcohol being flushed down the drain. Now, with cannabis, it was burned. With hemp, it was also burned as it was outlawed. Prohibition didn't stop people from drinking. Everybody, even though it was illegal, they still drank alcohol. Many compare the current state of cannabis to the end of alcohol prohibition in the United States. This is a nice picture of Al Capone. Because cannabis became illegal, this guy ended up making a lot of money because he sold an illegal product. The same thing exists right here in Germany and across the world. A black market has spawned because people still have tons of demand for cannabis. Everybody in this room, where it's practically illegal to smoke it, yet you've still tried it at some point in your lives. Repeal of alcohol prohibition brought a massive legal market opportunity back to the US and the entire world at large. When prohibition was over, liquor drank by Americans was manufactured all across the world. Simultaneous to alcohol prohibition in the US in the 20s, the world was undergoing its own reefer madness. Cannabis was demonized, and false propaganda was unleashed onto the people. And within a few decades, everywhere across the world, cannabis became prohibited. Something called the Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs was passed in 1961, and a worldwide prohibition of cannabis was implemented. Still, even in 2015, countries were signing on, and 185 countries were signed on as of April 2015. Well, back in the 70s, during true prohibition, the hippies, they still loved it, and weed became the symbol of the counterculture. By some, it was purported to be a gateway drug. It was completely illogical prohibition, and the connection drawn to leading you to other drugs, completely ridiculous. But the truth is, marijuana is much less dangerous than alcohol and much less addictive than coffee, which we all drink very often. This is a picture of your brain on drugs during the drug war, a popular American government advertisement. Oh, there's those hippies. They didn't care. They still smoked lots of pot. So the next thing that happened, Woodstock, a big cannabis-laden event. The beginning of legalization started in 1976, and the first place was the Netherlands. Holland decided that it was going to tolerate cannabis and allow cafes. That led to California in 1996, where medical marijuana became legal, completely legal as long as you had a medical marijuana card. You would go see a doctor. The doctor would ask you what's wrong with you, what ails you. Do you sleep well at night? Maybe you have headaches. Perhaps your back hurts, or something more severe. You're suffering from cancer and undergoing chemotherapy, AIDS, or cachexia. California in the United States was the first to blaze a trail for medical marijuana. In 2012, the world really changed and the revolution kicked off. Colorado, in November of 2016, voted for what's known as recreational adult use cannabis. What does that mean? You could be 21 and over in the US and just walk into a dispensary and purchase cannabis. The legal cannabis world in the year 1999, just 18 years ago, it looked very different. There weren't too many places which legalized it or even tolerated cannabis at all. A few locations, like California, Colorado, Holland, and Portugal among them. But then it really started. Canada legalized for medicinal purposes and is expected to launch adult use next year in March. So that means if you visit Canada as a tourist, you can buy pot. Australia legalized for medical purposes. Decriminalization, including in the city of Berlin, continues to happen across Europe. Uruguay and Colombia have legalized, and so on and so on. Croatia for medical purposes last year. Just recently, Mexico and Germany both legalized medical marijuana. How many of you are aware that medical marijuana is legal in this country? All right, that's a good show of hands. I hope that some of you that raised your hands, and I'll be honest with you, the reason I came all the way from San Francisco is to recruit you. I want to recruit you to join the greenRush. So in Germany, in 2016, an act to legalize the use of marijuana for medicinal purposes was passed by German parliamentarians. They voted unanimously in favor of the new bill, first approved by the country's cabinet in May 2016. On January 19th, this year, votes were unanimous. Can you believe that? The entire parliament agreed on something in the favor of the new cannabis as medicine law, which will come into full effect later this year. People with multiple sclerosis and other severe illnesses will be able to obtain the drug legally with a prescription from a doctor. According to a statement by Germany's Federal Ministry of Health, doctors will also be able to prescribe marijuana or cannabis to patients for whom the drug could alleviate symptoms, such as chronic pain or nausea, or who may see a positive effect on their disease progression. And only just last week, Greece legalized medical marijuana as well. So the world today, the legal cannabis world, looks very different. I think we can all see where this trend is going. It's obvious that within 10 years, the world and all of Europe will have much more access to legal cannabis. So my previous business was New Year's Eve, NewYear'sEve.com. And I loved getting together with my friends and celebrating New Year's Eve and counting down to the countdown, 10, 9, 8, until the ball dropped in Times Square in New York, which is where I'm originally from. Well, when I got into cannabis, I had this idea. There already is this 420 time. There already is this 420 date, April 20th. Why not create a new holiday, a cannabis holiday, where everyone who smokes cannabis, who wants to participate in the cannabis activity, who wants to be social, because cannabis truly is a social psychedelic. Well, I created something called the bud drop. Rather than the ball drop in Times Square, we now have the bud drop. And the bud drop is where we drop a whole bunch of balloons. We did the first one in San Francisco. Next year we'll be in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas. A whole bunch of balloons that all have cannabis in them. And when the balloons drop, everybody can go grab a balloon, pop it open, and here you have some free weed. But besides just that, besides the free weed, we have built a crazy 40-foot contraption that will actually drop just like the Times Square ball drop, and it is a massive bud. All right, so it's 420, everybody. 420 is a great time of the day to be embraced by the world all over. It's the best time to light up. And in every time zone, people are getting together, even today, and lighting up at 420. greenRush just wants you to be able to buy that weed at around 3:50 p.m. and get it right in time so you can smoke it. So I got into cannabis 4 years ago, and things have rapidly changed. The first legal cannabis transaction that I personally conducted when I bought cannabis, I waited online in Denver, Colorado for nearly 2 hours. And I got a receipt once I actually did this transaction. The receipt was scribbled in pencil, and they handed me this thing, and I looked at it, and I couldn't believe it. It was 2014, and they were taking only cash. The entire store was like a liquor store out of 1937. Well, today, things are quickly evolving. On-demand services is something consumers have come to expect in every part of their lives. Think of Amazon. I buy almost everything on Amazon. I buy my groceries, I buy laptops, I buy wires. Sometimes I even get shoes. Now, imagine if cannabis can be ordered and delivered with the click of one button. What about eBay? eBay is the place to get your Yeezys or to get your favorite sneakers because everything that's valued is auctioned off on eBay. How about Uber? You know how I got here today? I ordered an Uber right from my hotel room. And the interesting thing is Uber in Berlin works much different than Uber in New York or Uber in San Francisco. Here in Berlin, a taxi picked me up. Now, I didn't know the difference. I didn't take out my credit card. I didn't take out any cash to pay the driver. Everything still happened on this device. And that is what we're trying to achieve in the cannabis space. greenRush is bringing the on-demand e-commerce marketplace to cannabis. People in all places want as much choice as possible. We have over 19,000 products available for sale today. And they want it all delivered right now. So if you want your cannabis cookie, your pot brownie, your vapor pen, or even a bath salt, or how about this, personal lubricant with cannabis in it, everything can be delivered to you on demand within the hour as long as you're in one of the regions where cannabis is legal and greenRush is operating. As cannabis legalizes everywhere, especially here in Europe, it opens up the opportunity for an enormous industry to form. The needs of this brand new industry are massive, especially technological infrastructure. Everything from lighting technology to cloud infrastructure, to agricultural technology, to the state-of-the-art energy solutions, advanced nutrients for soil, smart greenhouses, and something near and dear to my heart, digital technology. On-demand marketplaces, inventory management, and ERP, cloud infrastructure. How are these massive industrial operations going to operate if they don't have cloud infrastructure? How about commodities trading platforms? So right now, cannabis is not yet a commodity, but everything else, every other raw material that we find in this world is, whether it's coffee beans or strawberries or even iron ore. Manufacturing and supercritical extraction. So the way that you make cannabis oil is through this highly complex process with a massive machine. These machines that process thousands of pounds of cannabis in any given day, they need to be developed and they need to be deployed right here in Europe. And especially laboratory testing. Right now, the biggest problem in the cannabis industry is pesticides. It's the quality of the product that you buy, mold. And you're still smoking it. If you bought it in the park in Berlin, you have no idea what's in it. But now if it's legal, if it's taxed, if you order it on greenRush, you know everything about it. So why is the greenRush happening so fast, and why should you get involved? Simple. Within almost every other established industry, all of these same technology opportunities have already been flagged and tagged. Companies have already staked their claims on their slice of those industries. With legal cannabis, the field is completely wide open, especially here in Europe. Now, laws vary from country to country, state to state, and even city by city. There's no one way for people to legally get cannabis. In Canada, it's shipped through the post. In Holland, you have cafes you walk into. In Spain, you have to be a resident of Spain and be part of a club. In California, deliveries are prospering, and we're gonna have 6,000 retail delivery operators just in the state of California by 2020. We at greenRush, we're gonna execute these transactions according to the local laws. And as the industry grows and becomes more viable and legalization continues to spread, the allure for professionals and experienced operators to enter becomes that much more real and that much more lucrative. The legal cannabis industry represents a $100 billion global industry over the next 5 years. Companies built today will prosper for decades forward as the use of cannabis normalizes across the world. So we want you all to consider joining the greenRush. And I really mean that. We want to have partners in every country across the world that leverage our technology in order to sell cannabis legally in their countries. No one knows better how to operate these businesses other than you in your countries, and greenRush is recruiting. Thank you very much, everybody, and the next time you're in the US, make sure you get your weed easy.
We still have a moment for questions. Anyone have a question? Preferably someone up close. Anyone questions?
How fast can you get some here?
I wish it was that easy. But I do believe that in Germany, over the next year, as the rules propagate, that people that are bedridden and have prescriptions from doctors will start to be able to order cannabis. The speed at which I can get some here is going to require two things. You're going to need a prescription, and I need a partner locally that can help me execute.
Okay, I had a question here in the back. You ready to catch? Catch?
If I am growing cannabis, why would I want to sell it through greenRush?
Great question.
Instead of selling it to the laboratories and other bulk buyers?
So if you're growing cannabis, the best way for you to sell it is to the bulk buyers. If you're a farmer and you've got a commodity, hopefully someone in this room decides that they want to build a commodities exchange where you can sell your product that you grow. But once you've sold it to the lab or you've sold it to a manufacturer that's packaged it, greenRush steps in, and now it's time for us to promote it, market it, and let consumers buy it easily.